But I've been on the phone intensely for the last few weeks, and really intensely the last 4 or 5 days, and there's a consensus of what I'm about to say by very informed people. So here's the bottom line. We're being lied to when the Pentagon and the Biden administration and the FBI tells you that they don't know what's going on and that this isn't U.S. government and it's not U.S. corporations and it's not friendly governments. And that it's not foreign governments, and they don't know what it is, but there's no problem. And this doesn't pose any type of security threat. I mean, that is preposterous. And we played the clips. I mean, Kirby says that. The State Department and the Pentagon say that word for word. This isn't us. It isn't foreign governments. We don't know what it is. And it doesn't pose any threat. Now, it's been intensifying the last 2 years, but it's been going on for a long time. U.S. naval ships, military bases, nuke bases, the most critical bases, critical infrastructure, nuclear power plants will have a whole swarm, in most cases, other times a few, little bitty orbs that are super fast, a whole bunch of large craft, you name it, show up, and then the fighter jets show up and they don't shoot them down. Don't even try. Now, that's huge evidence right there. But again, there's so much. Let me walk through it all, piece by piece here, and then I'll give you the conclusion. But here's the bottom line. You're being lied to that they don't know where they're coming from. You're being lied to that they don't pose a threat. And there is a larger psyop or psychological operation here. And on its face, you know they're lying to you. Standard procedure since the mid-50s is if an aircraft's over restricted airspace and doesn't respond for a certain amount of time, fighter aircraft come and or it gets shot down or both. So, first they tell you we don't know what it is or it's not happening. Then they go, okay, it is, but it's not a problem. And then they don't even try to shoot them down. So, that right there tells you a lot. Then we look at the craft that are swarming New Jersey and New York and military bases and cities all over the United States and other populated areas of the world. It's happening everywhere, but particularly here. And you can see in most cases those are known drone aircraft. Then you've got the luminous orbs. We've got a lot of leaks and intel. That's human technology. But them sitting there claiming they don't know what these are in broad daylight over New York in the last few weeks where these pods are flying around in front of everyone. And they're sitting over military bases and hovering and nothing's done to them. What did Trump say? He said mystery drone sightings all over the country. He said this Friday. Can this really be happening without our government's knowledge? I don't think so. Let the public know and now, otherwise shoot them down. Now, Trump is not in office yet. And that's a whole nother area of this that I'll be showing you government documents and openly breaking down one of the main motives here. But mystery one, these are human craft. That doesn't mean throughout history and even in ancient times they got reported by all cultures that there's been something else there as well. And the astronauts have seen it, and NASA's got footage of the orbs coming up decades ago to the space station or the space shuttle. I'm not saying there aren't other unidentified flying objects that are something else. Extraterrestrial, interdimensional, a breakaway human civilization that never went away, that's more advanced, Atlantis. We don't know that, but we know there is phenomenon going back before the Apollo program that the craft got followed around, our craft got followed around the moon. There's film footage of it. The astronauts reported it. It was on the news. They said, we don't know. So that mystery's not solved. But the craft over New Jersey, the craft over New York, the craft harassing U.S. bases, particularly nuclear bases that have nuclear weapons. And then a drone crashes a few days ago in New Jersey, and the police come and cover it up and take it away. And why don't they just show it to you? Who's telling you not to show it to you? And what the witnesses people said is it just looked like a big drone, propellers, all of it. Vertical, takeoff aircraft. So there is a drone or self-flying autonomous revolution. And the laws are all about to be changed. They're in Congress right now to decide who can do it, where, and why. And big corporations that are quietly developing all this are lobbying that there be major controls and everybody else, but not them, just like with AI. Big corporations, the government, don't want the general public or smaller companies to have access. They want to create a bunch of fear. They want to pass laws, and I'll show you in a moment, that put a lot of restrictions on it. So that's one layer here. And we'll go over the details of it. We've got 2 hours here. And I'm giving the synopsis right now. But the bigger piece here is the distraction from the Biden pardons of incredible criminals. The judge that would make parents pay money, or he'd CPS and take their innocent kids, and they were innocent away, and people that stole, $50-something million from taxpayers in Illinois. I mean, on and on and on. And you've got the war in Ukraine and that escalation, a diversion from that. And you've got our government putting Al-Qaeda in charge with the help of Israel and Turkey and Syria. And you've got the NATO overthrowing a week and a half ago Romania and their election, and setting up a NATO coup there, and more bombing of Russia with attack of missiles last week. So it's a big new shiny object, literally and figuratively. But then here's a microcosm example. The FBI hyping for years, white supremacists are going to blow up power grids everywhere, and they secretly work for Trump and the Russians. No evidence of that crazy. And I said in the last 6 months, look for around the election that they'll start foiling white supremacist groups that are going to blow up power stations. And they busted a bunch of them around the country the day before the election. Now you do that, so when you do attack the power grid, well, we stopped at some, but we missed this one. And it's already pre-programmed in your mind that that's what Trump supporters do, that they're white supremacists, that's not true, and that they're going to blow up power stations. Well, it's the same thing with these UAPs, UAVs, UFOs, whatever you want to call them. Oh, it's the government. Then they floated that story. The government thinks that there are stolen nukes or dirty bombs in New Jersey, in New York. Been hearing that for weeks. And these drones are out there to identify those and keep you safe. That way, when a nuke goes off, or a tactical nuke, or a giant dirty bomb, well, then it's like, well, we tried to stop it. And then that can be done right before Trump gets in. And I didn't just say that tonight. The crew went in today because I asked them to. And I said, search for times where I said they could stage a nuke even here, or Europe, or Ukraine. Blame it on the Russians, because we know the Ukrainian nukes were Russian-made. When they detonate, they will have that signature of isotopes. And we know there are at least 80 that came up missing out of Ukraine. That's mainstream news about that for decades. The missing Russian and Ukrainian and other nukes. Well, they're back hyping it, and they've leaked out of the Pentagon and leaked out of their people who mean well when they're giving it and come out and say, oh, I hear this is drones sensing for nukes or radioactive devices. And I've talked to a lot of my sources, and some are coming on the show this week, that used to run major teams doing that, like Craig Sawyer and others. And they use trucks to do that. They have devices. You drive by on light poles and things at the border, but also in other coming into big cities. You drive into a toll road in New York or New Jersey or other places, you see all these antennas and wires and things and weird devices that you never, that look something out of science fiction movie pointed at your car. They're scanning for radioactive isotopes and other things. And they've got passive X-ray scanners that are super toxic for you driving through it and those that work around it. But that's what's there. Okay? So It's not done with these type of drones. Yeah, they can be fitted with them, but they weigh so much, on average they're so big that the sensors aren't strong enough that they've got on these things. They don't need big sensors.